A large hand suddenly grabbed Hiccup and pulled him aside. It was none other than his father, Stoic. While searching for Hiccup, Stoic had found his mask, and following the trail of his scent, his dragon led him to this location. Due to Hiccup's poor communication skills, Stoic initially believed that Drago had taken him. As Stoic drew his weapon, ready for a deadly confrontation, he was stunned to see the person standing before him was his long-lost wife. Stoic froze, lowering his weapon and taking slow steps toward her. Valka, still thinking Stoic might hold a grudge against her, began explaining the reasons for her departure, but to her surprise, Stoic immediately embraced her. Back at Berk, trying to ease the awkwardness of the moment, Hiccup nervously kept talking about the current situation on Berk. Valka, distracted, accidentally dropped the fish she had caught. Cloudjumper swooped in and snatched the fish away. Toothless looked at Cloudjumper with a pitiful expression. Cloudjumper, seeming to feel sorry for him, spit some of the fish back out for Toothless to eat. Afterward, Toothless gave a satisfied grin. On the other side, Stoic began whistling a familiar tune to lighten the mood. The melody was a song they used to sing when they were younger. The nostalgic tune filled the air, and before long, they were all happily dancing together. Stoic then knelt down, offering Valka a heartfelt second proposal. In a playful moment, Toothless intentionally nudged Valka into Stoic's arms, completing the family reunion. But fate had other plans. With a loud crash, the ice pillars on the island shattered. They rushed out of the cave, only to find themselves surrounded by Drago's army of dragons. Stoic calmly reassured the frantic Valka, and together they decided to protect the dragons on the island. As the battle began, Astrid and her team, hidden among Drago's forces, suddenly appeared. With agile precision, they attacked Drago's military facilities. Meanwhile, Toothless ignited a gas explosion from the two-headed dragon, causing chaos in Drago's dragon army, throwing their formation into disarray. Valka raised her weapon, summoning the White Dragon King, Alpha. As Alpha roared, Valka swung her weapon, directing the dragons to launch their attack. Hiccup, alongside his team, continued to press their assault on the enemy. For a moment, it seemed that Drago's army had no chance of fighting back. But then, an unexpected turn of events occurred. Valka was struck by a dragon net. In respect for Valka, Drago decided to unveil his trump card. He raised his weapon and shouted loudly. From the sea, a massive black level 10 dragon emerged. To Valka's shock, Stoic suddenly charged forward. As the leader of the tribe, he was determined to protect his people and his wife. Unfortunately, the White Alpha, having exhausted its energy from earlier battles, was no match for the fully recharged Black Alpha. Gradually, the White Alpha began to show signs of defeat. And in the end, it was overpowered by the Black Alpha. The victorious Black Alpha let out a triumphant roar, taking control of all the dragons. With the fall of the White Alpha, Hiccup's side was also defeated. Despite the loss, Hiccup remained naively hopeful, still believing he could persuade Drago to stop the war. But how could Drago, now the victor, listen to such pleas? Drago shared his painful story with Hiccup. He revealed that the dragons had taken everything from him, his family, and even his arm. He harbored a deep hatred for dragons, and he was determined that humans and dragons could never coexist peacefully. But, in his view, humans could not be intimidated by dragons. In his mind, humans were meant to control dragons. They were the true rulers of the world. To prove his point, Drago had conquered the Black Alpha, forcing it into unconditional submission. We intended to use the power of the dragons to conquer the world. This was undoubtedly the most desperate moment for Toothless. Controlled by the Dragon King, Alpha, he was dragged to the ground, his head pinned, and forced to obey Drago's orders to attack his own companion, Hiccup.
Come on! What's the matter with you?
After a futile argument between Hiccup and Drago, Drago commanded Alpha to take control of the Toothless. Seeing Toothless struggle helplessly against the Dragon King's mental grip, Hiccup panicked. Toothless, almost unrecognizable, stepped forward with hostility, approaching Hiccup as if he didn't know him. At the critical moment, Stoic rushed in to block Toothless' fatal strike, saving Hiccup's life but sacrificing his own in the process. Stoic's sacrifice left Hiccup devastated. He pushed aside the shards of ice covering his father's body and collapsed, crying on him. Meanwhile, Toothless slowly regained his senses, confused about what had just happened. He approached Stoic's arm and sniffed it, but Hiccup pushed him away in his grief.
Go on, get out of here! Get away!
Overwhelmed by the loss of his father, Hiccup lost all sense of rational thought. He couldn't focus on who was truly to blame. He was consumed by the pain of losing Stoic. Drago's Black Alpha gave a commanding roar, signaling the dragons to follow him. Toothless was roughly dragged away by Drago. Back on Berk, Hiccup held a funeral for Stoic. A rocket, infused with deep sorrow, was shot onto the ship carrying Stoic's body. Hiccup felt guilty, blaming himself for Stoic's death. His recklessness had caused it, and in that moment, he realized how much he had to grow. Hiccup made a decision. He would become the new chief of Berk. His first command as chief was to defeat Drago and rescue Toothless and all the dragons controlled by Alpha. Since all the dragons had flown away under Alpha's control, Hiccup and his team were forced to ride baby dragons back to Berk. Although the baby dragons had little offensive power, the advantage was that they weren't susceptible to Alpha's control. To distract Alpha, the team used Cheep to divert its attention, giving Hiccup the opportunity to call Toothless back.
It wasn't your fault, bud. They made you do it.
After much effort, Hiccup finally managed to awaken Toothless. Together, once again, they were ready to fight side by side. To prevent Toothless from being controlled again, Hiccup blindfolded him.
We can do this. And me. As one.
Using Toothless' incredible speed, Hiccup maneuvered so Drago couldn't see him. By the time Drago realized what was happening, Hiccup had disappeared from Toothless' back. Hiccup appeared behind Drago and detonated a gas bomb, sending Drago crashing to the ground. At this point, Hiccup, believing victory was at hand, let his guard down. To his shock, he was ambushed by Alpha from behind. The ice breath from Alpha instantly froze both Toothless and Hiccup. Just as everyone thought Hiccup had been defeated again, a burst of blue light shot out from the ice. Toothless had broken free and shielded Hiccup once more. Alpha, now drained of energy, stood vulnerable. Toothless' strength and momentum were building up. He decided to challenge Alpha,